weekend. Now those showers are coming from one of two sources. To the south over Europe we've got a big depression, lots of thunderstorms embedded in the cloud and rain down there, and that's moving in a northerly direction. But more directly is going to affect us today a frontal trough coming out of a depression in the Atlantic to the northwest of Ireland, and that'll be moving in a northeasterly direction, going across most of the southwest Wales and England during the course of this morning and reaching southern Scotland by lunchtime. Most of the rain and showers this morning confined to the western side of the country, but as I said, moving in a northeasterly direction. Quick look at this afternoon's temperatures. We can see that it's much fresher than it has been over the last couple of days. Top temperatures today, in fact, a mere 20 degrees Celsius, and the lowest temperature today 15 up there off the northeast coast of Scotland. But you can see that by this afternoon the rain is moving in a northeasterly direction. And just to prove that, there's going to be sunshine and showers almost everywhere. I've had two phone calls this morning. One says it's pouring with rain in the northeast, and somebody else has rang me up. Where is it? It is warm and sunny in Leeds. But wherever you are, if it's raining, just wait a while and the sun will come along behind it, I hope. And very, very quickly, a very happy birthday to Jane Fowler. That's all for now. Back to Anne and Mike.
Trish, thank you. It's 8:30. Straight over to Gordon Honeycomb for the news.
Hello, good morning. In the Soviet Union, members of the Communist Party are to meet for an extra day so that they can continue with the debate which has heralded a new era in Soviet history. The meeting was scheduled to finish today, but speakers at the Moscow conference want more time to question Mr. Gorbachev's radical proposals for reform. Only 44 delegates have spoken so far, but another 261 want to, including Boris Yeltsin, the former Moscow party chief, sacked by Mr. Gorbachev for being too ambitious. Meanwhile, outside the conference hall, the debate about the proposed changes has caught the public imagination, as our Moscow correspondent Chris Mann now reports.
Moscow's in the grip of a suffocating heat wave, with temperatures in the 80s. And it's a hot political summer too, not just inside the conference hall, but also live on Soviet television, which is giving unprecedented extensive coverage through the day. A worker from Siberia attacks improper government and calls for even more radical reforms than Mr. Gorbachev advocates. A reporter then tackles the accused party official, who admits the criticism and says things have to change.
And so Mr. Gorbachev is getting what he wants. A Western-style parliamentary debate, albeit somewhat one-sided, and a mandate for his continuing reforms. Chris Mann, TVAM, Moscow.
In Northern Ireland, a taxi driver was seriously injured when he was caught up in a gun battle last night outside a Belfast police station. The 46-year-old man was shot during an exchange of fire between police and terrorists. It happened after a rocket was fired at the police station in North Queen Street. In Belfast, Barbara McCann.
The terrorists launched the gun and rocket attack on North Queen Street RUC station shortly after midnight. It's understood a prolonged exchange of gunfire ensued between the two sides, and the passing taxi was caught in the crossfire. None of the gunmen who abandoned their getaway car was reported hit, and although he was badly injured, the taxi driver managed to radio back to his base.
The penny didn't drop, I don't think, for a few moments until Harry had said there was a burst of gunfire in the background, and then we started to realise there was something serious. And we called him for about 5 minutes, but we couldn't get an answer from him. In fact, the next answer we got was from the police to say that they were there and they were in control, and there was an ambulance on its way.
For the second time this week, an innocent civilian has become the victim of a terrorist attack on security forces. Ballistic tests will determine whether he was shot with bullets fired by the police or terrorists. Barbara McCann, TVAM, Belfast.
Mrs. Thatcher has reportedly given the Energy Secretary Cecil Parkinson a top job as chairman of the highly influential Cabinet Star Chamber. That's the body that keeps public spending in check. Mr. Parkinson has been back in the Cabinet for a year now. He spent 4 years on the backbenches after his affair with Sarah Keyes. The Labour leader, Neil Kinnock, has received a boost to his authority from the National Union of Mine Workers Conference. A delegate supported him overwhelmingly over Tony Benn in Mr. Benn's challenge for the party leadership. This was in spite of Mr. Benn having the backing of the NUM's leader, Arthur Scargill. The Foreign Secretary, Sir Geoffrey Howe, has said there's evidence that the 3 British hostages in Beirut are still alive. Terry Waite, John McCarthy and Brian Keenan are all thought to be held there by Muslim fundamentalists. In the Commons last night, Sir Geoffrey said that while there was no concrete information about them, there was reason to be optimistic. Sport, finally, and it's men's semi-final day at Wimbledon. The world number one, Ivan Lendl, meets Boris Becker, while Sweden's Stefan Edberg plays the Czech Miloslav Mešír. Steffi Graf and the defending champion Martina Navratilova meet on Saturday in a repeat of last year's ladies' final. Navratilova reached the final by beating Chris Evert in 3 sets. The match ended with a controversial line call when the line judge ruled that Evert's shot was out. Navratilova now hopes to win a record 9th Wimbledon title. That's the news. It's 8:35 exactly. Here's Mike.
Thank you, Gordon. On After 9 this morning, Russell Grant will be telling Jane just what the sun signs have in store for all of us in the week ahead.
And Claire Rayner will be talking to a couple who think the midlife crisis can be a very positive and happy experience. That's all on After 9 this morning. Now we move on. A major new allergy centre opens today, which means new hope for, amongst others, Britain's 10 million hay fever sufferers, currently sneezing their way through the most uncomfortable summer for years.
You have to sympathise with them, don't you? The Asthma Research Council is giving Guy's Hospital £70,000 to find new ways of treating all types of allergies.
Research work is already underway at the hospital, and in a moment we'll be talking to the professor in charge of it. But first, Elaine Lipworth reports on one man who's being treated at Guy's Hospital who nearly died from a rare food allergy.
Kevin Ingle is a driver for his local council in Essex, but at the start of this year he was so ill he wondered whether he'd ever work again. After feeling sick and breathless for some time, he suddenly collapsed one evening with a strange illness.
Well, after eating my dinner and having a fizzy drink, a rash come up on my body and found it very difficult to breathe. And in fact, in hospital, I stopped breathing and almost died.
It was a mystery. Doctors had no idea what was wrong. It's only now, after months of investigation and persistence by Kevin, they've discovered the problem. A violent allergy to additives and preservatives that you find in processed food. At places like this, where he'd normally stop for lunch, the only thing on the menu that won't provoke an allergic reaction is a cup of tea. He has to bring his own lunch.
You've got to be very careful. White bread, any other sort of food, packet foods, tin foods, anything with additives or flavourings or colourings. Basically, I've got to prepare my own meals at home and do the cooking myself, because I can't eat out or anything, so I just don't know what they're going to serve me up.
At home in Hornchurch, it's meant a complete change of lifestyle for Kevin and his wife Julie, because he's only allowed fresh meat, fruit and vegetables. The couple both work full-time, and the convenience food they used to rely on is strictly out of bounds now. Tracking the source of Kevin's allergy hasn't been easy. It wasn't until his GP referred him to the allergy clinic at Guy's Hospital 3 weeks ago that they realised just how serious his problem was. He's been spending several days every week at the new unit, having tests to identify exactly what it is he's allergic to.
He's here in hospital for investigation to try and identify the foods and the additives causing his trouble, so that we can eliminate these from his diet. I think that many patients have problems in persuading doctors that they have a real allergic problem.
The new unit means fresh hope for the 1 in 6 people in Britain who have some kind of allergic reaction. There are no cures yet, but Professor Lee and his team are convinced that in future, sufferers will be taken more seriously and find it easier to get effective treatment. Elaine Lipworth, TVAM at Guy's Hospital in London.
Well, you saw Professor Tackley there. He's now with us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
I know that you're an allergy sufferer yourself, aren't you?
I am, yes, I get hay fever.
Yeah, you're one of 10 million then in this country.
Yes, it's very, very common.
And then we heard Elaine say there that 1 in 6 people have an allergic reaction to something.
Correct, yes.
It seems incredible in a way that we haven't done more research on it before.
Well, that's right, and it's really one of the neglected specialties in this country. And the setting up of this new unit by the Asthma Research Council is a very important step, really, in officially recognising allergy in this country as an important disease that we really need to look more into.
Because not only can it restrict somebody's life quite badly, or even change their character very badly, it can actually threaten life, as we saw with Kevin Ingle.
That's right.
It's really dangerous.
Well, it can be. We mustn't get it out of proportion, though, because the majority of allergies that we see are not life-threatening. And of course, hay fever is the commonest one we see. But allergic disease can indeed be life-threatening. And it's very important to be able to identify the patients who are at risk of dying from allergic disease so that we can actually help them. And of course, Kevin is an example.
Yeah, I mean, you say a lot of allergies aren't that serious, and of course they're not. But when I think of it, the times I used to sit exams at school,
Yes.
and so many of the class would be suffering very badly from hay
Oh
fever.
yes, there's no doubt that suffering from allergies is a horrific experience, but it's really a big nuisance, but it doesn't actually kill you in the majority of cases. But nevertheless, there are examples, as we've seen, where it is dangerous.
Is there something to do with our lifestyle nowadays? I mean, central heated homes or something like that, that is causing this, this advance in the
Well, many of us feel that allergies are increasing. We don't know why that is, but certainly one of the things that have been suggested as causing an increase in allergies is indeed the way we're living now and atmospheric pollution. But the evidence for it is very tenuous, and clearly we need to do a lot more research to see whether that is true or not.
In that case, it's unfair to ask this next question, but I will just in case. I mean, what is causing it? What is it that goes on inside the body that could be actually sparking off an allergic reaction?
Well, in many instances, we still do not know the mechanism. But one mechanism we do understand is that in some circumstances, we produce a lot of a particular antibody, which normal people do not produce. And we call that IgE. And having this antibody around makes you very susceptible to certain things like pollens and house dust and animals and certain foods, and indeed some industrial pollutants.
Have you found a way to suppress that antibody being
That
produced?
is an area of research that we are devoting a lot of time and effort.
I know that you have done something in the area with fish oils or something like that.
Yes, that's right. This is a sort of interesting area. It really stems from work done some years ago demonstrating that people who consume a lot of fish, such as the Greenland Eskimos, have a low incidence of certain diseases that we associate with the Western world, such as heart disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and indeed allergies. And in North America, there is a fantastic amount of interest now in using diets supplemented with fish oils in the treatment of actually heart attacks. Now, we were very interested because obviously these people also have very low incidence of allergies. And we've been testing the possibility that these diets might help sufferers with allergies as well.
It couldn't just be because they live out in the open and breathe a lot more fresh air.
Well, that is
than
of
we
course a possibility. But until we can actually do the test and find out whether fish oil itself has any anti-allergic properties, we won't know the answer to that.
So to ordinary people who have an allergy to, I don't know, anything from horses and dogs to household dust. Household dust is a terrible one.
Thing,
Isn't it?
yes.
It's so difficult to do anything about.
Yes.
How soon are we near some sort of a cure?
Right, well, the ultimate aim, of course, is to cure it. But we've still got some way to go. The most important thing now is to understand why people should get allergies and how they get allergies. And when we've found the various pieces of the jigsaw, then we can start talking about cure.
So in other words, give you a bit more time.
Please do.
Well, I'm glad you're working on it. Thanks very much. It's very interesting to talk
Thank you
to
very
you.
much.
We'll take a short break. Our guest today is David Essex, and we'll be talking to him in a few moments.
When you take your tummy on holiday, be sure to take Diacalm from Beecham. Diacalm stops diarrhea fast.
Well, I've traveled to the desert laid by Pacific rollers, wandered through the jungle, even rode to the polar. But wherever I've been, I've never seen anything that tastes like solar. It's just right for today. A soft and chewy mix, cereal, nuts, and chocolate chips. So you can keep everything from the equator to the polar. I can say without a doubt, no other cereal bar is soft and chewy like solar.
Gerald.
Yup.
Jeremy.
Yup.
James.
Yup.
George.
Yup.
Julia.
Yup. 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 Oh, yup. Oh, yup. Oh, yup.
Yup. Yup. Yup.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Don't say yes.
Say yup.
No, the other bloke wasn't like this. I do love interrupted conversations. 8:44, you're watching the morning... you're not watching the morning programme, you're watching the after-morning programme.
Well,
Good
it is
Morning
morning, even though it feels like night
Yes.
to you, clearly.
On with the facts. It is hard to believe, is it not, that we're almost at the end of another Wimbledon, and our spy live from Los Angeles, L.A. Lloyd himself, has joined us yet again to talk about who we might see winning the trophies. Interesting way John McEnroe has got testing the court's texture, hasn't he? It's an unusual technique he's got there. Good morning again to you, LA. Now, let's just chat about the main talking point last night, which was Eva Navratilova, the last point. And I think we're both agreed, aren't we, as we look at it, that actually it's not what happens in the point itself that's particularly relevant.
No, it was a bit sad that last point, because she hit the winner. And she thought it was a win. She turned, and then the linesman sort of was a late reaction with his hand, and she thought she'd hit the winner, and then she turned around to see Martina with her hands up, and then realised, and it was a disappointing way for the match to finish.
But as we watch it, I think the thought that was in my mind at the time was Martina is explosive sometimes when the calls go against her. Chris Evert, on the other hand, this was match point. She showed very, very slight. She said, "What?" And that was it. And this is how she took it.
Yeah,
I think that's magnificent sportsmanship.
It is really, because I mean, she was still in the match. If she had won that point, she would have been 5-6 down or whatever deuce. She could have still won the match. And you know, once she realised that the linesman had made that call, that was the end of the matter, and she didn't argue. I mean, she was very disappointed, that's for sure. I
mean, some would say, particularly John McEnroe, for instance, that it's part of their system, part of what makes them tick, to have these little explosions. Do you, as a player, ever get fed up or embarrassed when you see the constant pleading to the rain gods, if you like, and, whenever there's a dispute?
Well, I just think some players just go on and on about it too much. I mean, sometimes I can understand when they get a little bit frustrated, because some of the calls that you see at all tournaments, not just Wimbledon, are unbelievable. I mean, they're so far out that you can understand the frustrations building up. But then they just keep going on and on, and some players they keep on going every 2 minutes about this argument, this, and everybody's against them, and they should just get on with it.
But what worries me, and where I think it's most unfair, is I just get the feeling sometimes great sportswomen like Chrissy Evert lose out on certain little close decisions because the officials know they ain't going to make a fuss.
Well, there's no question about it. There is intimidation to the linesmen. Some of the people are very smart, that they look at the linesmen on the first couple of points in the game, get them nervous about it, and then when it comes to a close call, they give the call to them.
Brief word about the ladies' final. Steffi Graf looks absolutely unstoppable.
She does, but, you know, I tipped Martina from the start, and I just have a feeling that tomorrow she may raise her game by that 20% needed to win.
It's going to be interesting.
I mean, it's doubtful, but I think that she may just think this is her last chance of winning it. She wants to beat that record, and I think the old Martina may come up and give Steffi another lesson.
How do they usually do when they play against each other, Graf and Navratilova?
Well, they haven't played each other this year. They've sort of avoided each other. It's extraordinary, but the last few meetings, it's been sort of even, but Martina did beat her last year at Wimbledon and the US Open in the two major finals, which I think could be the interesting point
It's nip
tomorrow.
and tuck, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really.
absolutely.
Now, Becker Lendl, just one thing about Lendl. On court, he has been accused, poor chap, hasn't he, of being a machine. Off court, I'm told he's a really, really nice guy. Is that the truth? Is that the locker room gossip, John?
Yeah, he's a nice fella. Actually, he spends all the time during the before the match. You wouldn't believe that he's got an important match coming up. He's laughing away and joking and talking about golf and all this. But then just 5 minutes before the match goes on, then he's serious. But he's a nice fella. Him and Boris are both very good fellas.
Predictions for who will get through to the final? Do you think Becker in one?
Becker and I think Edberg.
Becker and Edberg.
Yeah.
Becker to win.
Becker to win the.
So you're going with Becker and Navrat, as we
yeah.
call them.
That's what I'm going for.
No, I think it's Becker and Graf.
All German.
Yeah.
I agree. Becker and Graf.
I think Becker and Graf.
Do you?
Yeah.
I know you're a cricket nut. Do you watch the tennis too?
Yeah. I find it very absorbing.
Were you watching yesterday?
Yeah. I wanted Chrissy to win.
And it was mine, especially when the rain went and came in the middle of the match.
That had to happen.
Hell, wasn't it? Does actually, when the weather comes on like that, does it really throw people badly?
Oh yeah. Well, especially Chris, you had the momentum going then, and then you have to go off for 2 hours, and you have to go back to the locker room, and then you think, well, do I eat or do I sort of not? And then you get ready, then it looks like it's going to rain again. You get psyched up, and then you have to get yourself down again and then up, and very difficult.
I know what I meant to ask you earlier, John. When players walk off court, having fought a really grim battle, and you see them walking off together, what happens when they get through that green glass door? Do they then split up and never speak to each other?
Well, one seems to go a little bit quicker up the stairs than the other. Normally the loser makes a very quick exit, while the other one sort of waits and maybe is congratulated by their close friends.
Right. But they don't go to start chatting straight away?
No, not normal.
The tension must be incredible.
Yes.
David, you're in a new musical.
No, what I did was a concept album for a new show, which is called Miss Saigon. I play this kind of Chinese/French entrepreneur pimp
You do choose your parts, don't you?
Right. Well, it's typecasting again.
No comment. I mean, you were a fairy in your video, and now you're a...
Among other things.
Among other things, sorry,
among
a
other
girl backing singer and things like that.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting. It's written by the two men that wrote Les Miserables, and I think it's going to be on... It may probably go to Broadway early next year.
And are you going to be in it if it does?
I don't know. I'm steering clear of theatre for the moment. I'm concentrating on the records, I think.
Yeah, and you have done a lot of theatre recently, haven't you?
Exactly, and it's tremendous. I mean, Mutiny was wonderful, but it's a long time out of your life, and your life does change. And I think for the moment we're halfway through recording an album. We've got the single out from what will be the album. But it's a refreshing and nice experience just to get back to music, because writing for shows and being in shows, it's terrific, but it is so time-consuming.
But aren't you doing a film as well?
Yeah, I've hopefully that will start next year as a film I've made up, a black comedy. I play a priest in that.
Priest?
Yes.
We've seen you as a priest before, actually, haven't we?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we have. No, I'll remind you of it when I can think of it.
Yeah, think of it. I can't remember that.
But what happens to this priest then? Why is it a black comedy?
Well, he becomes possessed by this ghost. It's called Holy Ghost, and he's fresh out of Vicar's College, and he gets this job
Vicar's College?
Yes, down in Sussex. And
You've obviously done a lot of research for this part.
Yeah, where do vicars go? And then his first job is to go and exorcise this aging lady, and he thinks he's done it. He takes the book and reads through, and this is what you do. And he gets back on his bike, and the bike starts floating, and the ghost has basically adopted him, and all these terrible things happen.
Which gives you the biggest buzz, David? The theatre, the live, when you perform to a live audience, when you're singing, or films? Because after all, you've got up to a great start in your film career.
Yes, I think music is still my first love, and there is something special about the relationship between an audience and a performer.
Still gives you a buzz, that, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It all does. I mean, I can't believe my luck to be able to work in all those different areas. But I would have to come down on music, I think. I'm very happy now in this, recording period.
Right. Would you like to know what's on TVM next week? Because,
yeah, just in case you fancy tuning in and watching.
I do watch, yeah. I've been known to get up this early.
Yes,
exactly.
You'll be glued like magnets next week, won't they, Jason Pollock? Because I know you've lined up another all-star list of guests, all of whom will turn up.
We'll have a go, Michael. Good morning. Monday, it's a bit of a mixed bag on Monday. We're going to be looking at Ken Russell's rather controversial film, Salome's Last Dance, and this is something that's about to hit the country next week, so watch out for that one. And also Bruce Payne, who is the rising star of British films. The new film comes out next week called The Fruit Machine. And also joining us is sort of Svengali millionaire pop entrepreneur John Reid, who of course moulded the careers of Elton John and Billy Connolly. So hopefully a little bit of insight into the other side of the pop business there. Going on to Tuesday, and Patricia Hayes, who has been in the acting business for 60 years, mostly playing old ladies. She gets her first directing break next week, and she's going to be directing The Last of the Red Hot Lovers, and she's joined by her star Brunella G, who we all remember from Constant Hot Water. Also with her will be Dana, whose autobiography comes out on that week. Going on to Wednesday, and Geraldine McEwen, who presumably you remember from Mapp and Lucia. She was Lucia in that very terrific TV series. Yeah. And also an actress who's directing. She's chosen Shakespeare, As You Like It, a world tour of As You Like It. And Susie Blake joins her. Susie Blake, you probably remember from the Victoria Wood shows. She's the lady that does the piece to camera and the continuity numbers.
Oh,
very funny lady. Very funny
Fantastic.
lady. And new West End show for her, Exclusive Yarns. Faith Brown on Thursday, and talking about the Liverpool Festival of Comedy with Hazel Dean, top disco queen. And on Friday, Mike, it's Vidal Sassoon, 25 years since the Bob. Vidal changes names every year. He has hairstyles like Sybil Hellfire, Windswept, Moppet, and this is one especially created for me, for the over 40s male.
Fittest man in hairdressing.
Called Old Baldy.
You could have been wearing a beehive, couldn't you, Jason, I suppose? Well, we must say goodbye to our man live from Los Angeles. Would you put on your travelling gear,
yes.
LA? It's back to LA for you now, is it?
On the old aircraft.
And you'll be coached to...
cool.
Coached to who?
Well, a couple of players. Katerina Lindquist and Steve Shaw, a couple of others.
And you're signing up a new team to link with TVM, aren't you? Boston?
The LA Strings.
The LA
we're
Strings.
called. Yeah.
Oh, good. Good luck to you, John. It's been a pleasure to have you all fortnight. Really
Thank you very much.
Good
It's been
fun.
nice to be here.
David, it's been lovely to see you again. What are you clutching in your hot, clammy
Well,
hand?
somebody just handed me. Happy birthday to Anne Millington. Hello, Mum. Hello, Verity. That's my daughter. She's going to Iceland today.
lovely name.
Good Lord.
Safe journey. And hello, everybody.
Well, good luck. Good luck with your new single, to say.
Yes, look at the sun shining.
Exactly. I know it's an optimistic single at that, but,
Yes.
but it's nice.
Well, the other side I wrote, it's called Here Comes the Rain, so we're well covered.
Oh, fine. Oh, that's all right. We'll give it to Trish as a present. Thanks very much for the moment, David. It's
My
lovely to see you
pleasure.
again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to play your video again, but we thought we'd spare you the blushes. We'll take a short break.